What's up? This is Adam from Switchboard Canvas, and in this video I want to give a tutorial on creating a sort of a Zoom conference invite in Canvas. This uses a lot of pinned elements and really demonstrates the power of the responsive templates in Canvas. So I'm going to jump into a new template here, and I'm going to put together a sort of a little Zoom invite and show you sort of how it can be resized. So that you can use one template to make many images of the same size. So what I want to do is change the background color here to sort of a darkish blue. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add a rectangle. I'm going to pin this one to the edges, but actually from the top I want to make this 200 pixels from the top, and from the bottom 200 pixels from the bottom. Fill the color here to a less or sort of a brighter blue. Try and find something that's not too hideous. I don't know, something like this. It's not great color selection so far, but what this will allow us to see is that as we resize this image, it stays, or that inner rectangle stays 200 pixels from the top and bottom. Next thing I want to add is an image. I'm going to choose this handsome fella here. And what I want to do with this initially actually is just put a little white border around it. This just sort of sets off the image quite nicely. And I'm going to pin this to the edges of the template, 50 pixels from the left, 250 from the top this time, 250 from the bottom. Enable the pinning, and we can see how that sort of stretches vertically. I also want to change the right hand side pinning so that it sort of stretches also with the width of the template, and I think something like maybe 60-65%. So this is 65% of the width of the template from the right hand side. When we resize now, it sort of stays where it should be, good proportion to the rest of the template, and that's 65% of the width from the right hand side. Okay, next element I want to add is some text for the Zoom details. So I'll put Zoom details up here. I'll leave the color as this. Choose a relatively acceptable font. Let's have Interstate Bold for this. And I'm just going to put something like 3 p.m. Zoom conference in there like that. Okay, now to pin this, what I want to do is actually pin this to the top of the photo, and pin this to the right hand side with a little offset, so that when we resize, things are always in the same place, or certainly where it should be. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that I named my image photo, because that helps us reference this later. Select the text again, Zoom details, and for pinning to the top I'm going to choose photo. I'm going to set this to 0. I'm going to choose this, or set this to top. Now the top of the text box is aligned to the top of the photo and will stay there. For the left hand side, I want to also pin this to the photo, so I'm going to say photo, set this to 20 pixel offset from the right hand side of the photo. Now there's a 20 pixel gap between the right hand side of the photo and my Zoom details. And the right hand side, this one's a little easier. I can just say 50 pixels from the edge, something like that. And I can set the horizontal alignment of the text to left. And then I'm just going to bump up the sides here a little bit so it's not quite as large. It will just fill the text box regardless. Something like that at this size. And then that sort of stays there and resizes accordingly. Next thing I want to add, duplicate this element with Control-Shift-V. I'm going to call this one title, and bring this element down a little bit. This is also going to be 20 pixels from the right hand side of the image. change the text here to the title of our Zoom conference, which can be something like Marketing Automation with Switchboard Canvas. Change the colour of this so it stands out a little bit. Now for this text, I want to pin it to the bottom of the Zoom details. So I'm going to choose Zoom details. I'm going to select the bottom this time, 20 pixel offset. That aligns those two elements. I'm going to increase the size or the height of this though, so that the text sort of becomes a little bit more dominant, about halfway, something like that. Let's see what that looks like as we resize. That's not too bad, sort of staying in place. Size is pretty good. You can limit the size that the text grows to when it is being resized, so that's a useful control. You can have a maximum font size for when it is filling this bounding box. Okay, last element I want to add is some details for the Zoom conference. So I'm going to duplicate this element again. This time I'm going to call this joining details, and I'm going to actually limit this text in this instance to something like 50, and I'm just going to put some text in here, something like see the link in the bio for details on joining the conference. Now with this one, I'm going to pin the bottom to the bottom edge of the photo. So I'm going to choose photo for bottom, enable the pinning, and choose the bottom edge of the photo. Now this text box, the bottom of it aligns with the bottom of the photo. And for the top, I want to choose title and just again offset that 20 pixels from the bottom of the title. So these three text elements are sort of intrinsically linked by being pinned together, and that helps them resize when you create images from this template at different sizes. It sort of helps things stay in place. You can tweak things to make it a little more as you need it, especially if you have more elements. One thing I've forgotten to add, which I'll very quickly add now, is a logo for the bottom section of this template. So I just added this logo here. I want to have this image fit the bounding box. I'm going to change the background opacity to 0, so that's always transparent. And then just resize this to something like that. And I want this in the bottom right hand corner. So here what I'll do is say 50 pixels from the bottom right hand corner. So I put in 50 for this. Enable that edge, enable the right edge pinning, 50 pixels. And that makes sure that that logo is always in the bottom right hand corner. So there's a lot you can do with the pinned elements. A little bit of a learning curve and figure out how things are pinned together, but once things are in place, you can then render this image pretty much at any resolution you want, and you will get an image that works for your use case. Thanks a lot. If you have any questions, as always, just use the intercom chat icon in the bottom right hand corner. Always love to hear about what challenges you face, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much.